The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Well, welcome to Getting to Know You. My name is Joe Nash. Today we're going to be finding out about St. Catherine's Center for Children right in Albany. We have with us the Executive Director, Bill Gettman, and we also have with us Sara Hill, who you will hear her story when we get to it. So she was not born there, but she lived there way back for 19 months. But we'll get to her story. So welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So St. Catherine's been around for like 130 years. Before we talk specifically about, all your programs, which there are many, can you give us a little history about how it all started? And
St. Catherine's Children for Center has been around for about 130 years. We started in 1886 with the Daughters of Charity, founded St. Catherine's as an orphanage. There was an eye epidemic and kids had eye disease. And they wanted to keep the kids away from the other kids in the hospital, so they bought the Skyware Mansion here in South Albany and opened up what was called then an orphanage. And they staffed it, they provide medical care, and that was the beginning of St. Catherine's Center for Children.
So it started out not where it is today. I didn't, okay.
It's the old Skyware Mansion, which was purchased for $7,000 back then. I sure wish we had it today. Since that time, however, we have changed and evolved. We were an orphanage. We've done child care. We've come a long way since then as the needs of this community and this country have changed. Okay, so you're a nonprofit social service agency. You have your packet of information is very long here. You have educational programs, residential programs, therapeutic programs, community-based programs. And programs for homeless families and children. So why don't we start with, who are your main, it's called St. Catherine's for Children. Are they your main? We serve about 1,800 individuals a year, and that includes children and families. We serve 25 counties in the Capital District. We serve about 30 school districts. We run a state licensed school for elementary children right on our grounds on North Main Avenue. These are kids who live with us or go to school with us from the community. We have master's level special education teachers who provide specialized instruction and mental health services for kids.
Okay. And how many kids actually live there currently?
We have about 75 kids who live with us in our various homes and our operated group home. And we have around-the-clock staff and therapists who care for them. And they're usually in the age range of about 5 to 12 years old. Young kids, as we like to call them, the little kids.
So how would a child, I don't know what the term is, I don't want to say end up there, but how would someone 7 or 8 be living there? Or how would that come about?
Kids come from us 2 ways. One, from the local county government. They're placed because they're abused, neglected, been removed from their home. They've had severe trauma, usually physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Their parents can't care for them any longer. So county government, with the oversight of the judge, will say, we're going to remove this child from the home, place them with St. Catherine's, and try to improve the home life, because what's most important is getting these kids back into a family.
So while the kids are there, some of your people might be working with the mother and father?
The caseworkers will work with mom and dad, try to stabilize their home life. We're working with a child in our facility, and they go to school with us. So they have a full-rounded education and social service support.
So is the ultimate goal to go back to their family, or if that doesn't work, they end up going?
Kids do best in their own family. When you were growing up, when I was growing up, we did best with our family, our extended family. So our goal is to get every child back to their home or their extended family, an aunt, an uncle, a grandparent, because that's where they grow.
Okay, and if that somehow doesn't work out.
It doesn't. Then the judge will intervene, and they have several options. They can continue the foster care placement. The average child in foster care will stay for about a year, but they can stay longer. We've had kids whose rights have been terminated from their parents, and then they're put up for adoption. So they find another nurturing, loving family.
Okay, so you have kids, unfortunately, that their home life is so chaotic they can't go back. Is that?
They can't go back because of their parents' mental health needs, because of their abusive behavior, because of their substance abuse or alcoholism, or their simple inability to parent.
Okay. Well, before we talk about your programs, because I don't want Sara to be sitting here, we have Sara Hill, who was placed in St. Catherine's for 19 months when she was, or why don't you tell your story?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to tell my story.
Especially during foster care month.
Okay,
that makes it very special.
It does special.
My connection to St. Catherine's Children's Center, my biological mother, I was born in 1959, and my biological mother surrendered me at that time from Brady Hospital, where I was born, right at birth.
At birth, okay.
So it was a decision that I'm sure her and her caseworker had talked about, that she knew when she gave birth that she would have to surrender me due to whatever situation she may have been in at the time. So when I was born at Brady Hospital, I was immediately placed at St. Catherine's Children's Center, and I was an infant, and I was with that placement for 2 years.
Okay.
And at that point, my foster parents found me, came to visit the center and visit with me, and I was, from what I'm told, I was in a room with my foster parents and playing with my dad, and he had me on his lap, and there was a connection with all of us, and I was joyful and having a good time, and the decision was made that they wanted to have me. I was placed in their care from St. Catherine's Children's Center. That was two. They had already had two teenage sons that were their foster children here in Albany. I became a part of the placement in their home. And they had me until they both passed away. I was 13 when my dad died, and I was 19 when my mom died.
So you went right from St. Catherine's and lived
Right
there?
to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
right
then,
to them. And I was placed there with them the entire time.
okay,
Sara's a success story of the foster care system. Sara's foster parents did a fantastic job of raising her, obviously, allowing her to grow into a successful adult, for which she is.
Thank you.
and I
Foster
guess,
care system gets a bad rap sometimes, and
They
it's not
do.
fair.
Yeah, they do. This was a very unique situation. My foster parents, along with me, there were like, I wouldn't say
I was
close
reading your
to
bio,
20.
they fostered other
Right,
children.
there were like 6 of us that were their core children, so we were family, and we grew up as siblings together.
So you think of
until
them
we
as your
were-
brothers
Oh, they're my
and
brothers and
sisters.
sisters, for no doubt. And then around that, there were, just as Bill was speaking, there were families who had trouble. There were children who were in trouble, so caseworkers would bring them to Mrs. Cook, my parents, my foster parents' home, and we would have them in placement anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And then they would go on with their family. Like he said, after they took care of their home business, but they became part of our home. But there were 6 of us that were the core siblings that were not adopted, but that were in foster care and that were nurtured through these 2
Okay, so
individuals.
foster care can last for you.
Can last
This is a unique situation.
This is very unique.
Yeah.
Now, is that also unique that someone would foster several?
Oh, no, not at all. Foster parents are the most unique people in this world, I would say. We have foster parents who have fostered 6 or 7 kids that you can call them up in an emergency on a Saturday night and say, will you take this child? And their heart is so big that they take them in, and they provide love, care, nurturing, knowing full well that they may leave someday. It takes a unique personality to. Some stay for long times, like Sara. Some stay short-term durations.
Okay, and Sara, Bill said you were a success story. Tell us about how you went going to school and you
Some
worked at
people
Proctor's.
ask me, they say, well, how did you go on, especially losing your parents so young? Because like I said, my dad died, I was 13, my mom when I was 19. It's how you were raised. They raised me to move on and to have values and to be headstrong and I've always loved school, I've loved education, I wanted to move and do things with my life. And, I loved the arts, I loved television, I've been on the radio. So I think it was just a matter of drive and determination to always want to succeed and do
Sara's
well in
being
life.
humble. She had the support of a foster family, which is great, but she worked hard in school.
Yeah.
She has a successful career. She's creative, and she has a very positive, strength-based attitude. And that was instilled by not only her educators, but by her foster
And then are there situations currently that are very similar that kids go on and become
Absolutely.
successful?
Most foster care kids are going to return home, but they've been prepared for some of the hard struggles of life. Foster care kids, like most kids, are very, very resilient, and they've gone through the toughest situations, and they come out stronger.
Okay. So, Sarah, why don't you tell your story here now? You've been reconnecting with St. Catherine's. How did that come about?
Well, I was very fortunate that I had documentation of my history. And St. Catherine's, I remember seeing a clipping in some of my paperwork that had St. Catherine's Center for Children, and I read some things. My mom always told me the story. So I knew that I was placed there as an infant, and I was very connected to that. And as I got older, I just wanted to have an opportunity to thank them. I just wanted to know more about the center. Obviously, I moved back here from New York City. I was gone for 20 years, and I drive by a lot. I see the center, and I see that, I just wanted to be a part of what was happening or feel what was going on behind those walls, other than the fact that I was placed there. And that's when I picked up the phone.
Okay. And then why do you think you waited 20-odd years? Is there any reason? Or?
I think that it was just a matter of where I was in my life.
Yeah, okay.
You go through journeys, and this is my journey, this is my season, and I wanted to tell my story, and I really wanted to see how they were doing and what they were doing, and just say thank you.
Okay, and Bill?
It's a phenomenal center.
So so tell us about the phone call. You got to.
I was at my desk one day, and the phone rang, and I picked it up, and didn't know who it was, and this person said, "Mr. Gettman, I want to come talk to you. My name's Sara Hill. You and I have a relationship that goes back over 20 years, and I didn't know who I was talking to." And she says, "I was a foster child from St. Catherine's." And I said, "Absolutely, come on in." And we made a connection that was just, and we're going to work with Sarah to help us with some foster care recruitment, because we still need foster parents in this community.
All right, so you could not have a better spokesman, obviously, than
She's
Oh, I'm honored.
a lot of people do call or stop by occasionally to say, "I've turned out okay," or "Look at me now." It's foster care can be very rewarding, and it's important.
And I know, Sarah, when you worked, you don't work anymore, but when you worked at Proctor's, you had a, what was it called, a Jubilee?
Yes.
Which you've dedicated to your
Yes.
foster parents.
Yes. I am very fortunate. My journey with Proctor's for 8 years as marketing manager was one of the best rewarding careers I've had. And that leverage of that relationship really gave me an opportunity to produce this major concert that cultivates music and community and the arts. So 4 years, April 10th was the 4th year anniversary of that concert. And one of the reasons that I dedicate that to my parents is because they instilled music in me and church in me, and just the wonderful reward of community. And I wanted that spirit of them to live through that concert. And it does.
I think you're going to have a good spokesman here.
I think we do.
So now that we've heard a typical story here, why don't you talk a little bit about all your programs? I don't know, you have educational, residential, therapeutic. Maybe you could talk about each one,
Sure.
what they all do and what they entail and how,
We talked about the school a little bit. We have 74 kids in our school. They go year-round. We have some support in the school that's unique. We have social workers and some mental health aides to help deal with their issues. But the kids usually go back and advance and do well in testing and learning behavior management issues. Our second program is our homeless program. Homelessness is still a serious problem in the city, in this county, in the state, in this country, quite frankly. We operate the county's homeless shelter here in Washington Avenue Extension. We have 24 apartments for homeless families and serve about 100 children every night. The sad news about the homeless shelter is this: if somebody gets an apartment tonight, tomorrow morning we're going to move a new family in there. And so our goal is to get families into apartments, keep them in apartments, and provide those necessary services.
The homeless, is it full every night?
It's full every night. We also help homeless singles on the street to get them off the street, get them into the mental health and health treatment they need.
Teenage age?
Teenage or older.
Oh, okay.
Homelessness is a very complicated issue, but the bottom line is this: until you've got a safe place to put your head every night on a pillow, you can't deal with your health issues, your job issues, your employment, your mental health issues. You got to have, it's the old the hierarchy of Maslow.
And are some of the homeless, you actually help homeless families too?
Yes,
you
we
have
do.
whole families that are...
Families, and typical family at our shelter is a mom with 2 kids. They come in with plastic bags. They've been evicted from their home. They've had a fire. They've had domestic violence. They've had some criminal involvement, perhaps. We get them to build a housing plan, and we help them get rehoused.
Okay. So what is the, what's this therapeutic?
Therapeutic foster care is our program where we have about 50 homes around the Capital District where kids like Sarah were placed with loving foster parents. And then we also have a group home here in Albany and a group residence. So we care for about 30 kids around the clock with direct care professionals, social workers, recreation therapists, other therapies as needed. We provide around the clock care for them, supervision, and then they come to school with us.
And then it says here you have, this might be a whole list of things, but you have various community-based, is that a whole range of?
We have a whole range of mental health services, respite services for kids and families that have special needs. We run some special prevention programs to keep kids out of foster care. We do some after-school diversion programs to keep kids from entering the juvenile justice system. Our goal is to keep kids with their families, and if you have to wrap supports around those families to keep them together, that's what we do.
Okay. And Sarah, now you said, how are you going to be involved now that you're back?
Well, one of the things I wanted to also let you know that the success part of that's really high in for me is the fact that I did connect to my biological mother in 2000.
Okay.
And she's 85 years old now. We have a wonderful relationship, and I have siblings, and they're all here in Albany. So one of the reasons I came back to the area is because
These are siblings you never knew?
Right.
Or biological, I should say.
Biological siblings. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to come back home, because of my roots. So how I want to connect to Bill and the great staff that he has at St. Catherine's Children's Center is just to be there for them, just to be supportive. And, anytime I can speak to people or groups of foster parents that are doing this, I would love to just tell my story and share the light that it's at the end of the tunnel for all of our foster children.
Okay. Now, do you have other former residents that do similar?
We do other
similar things.
We have other foster parents. We have foster parents on our staff and foster parents who do outreach for us. We do training. There's nothing like a one-to-one relationship when someone like Sarah can say, "I've been in your shoes. I've been in your situation." To talk about the hurdles of taking a foster child in on a Saturday night in a crisis. She's going to be a great spokesperson and advocate for kids.
Okay. Now, when Sarah was placed, she was just born. That's
correct.
Do you still get newborns?
We occasionally do get a newborn. One thing, the child welfare system in this state has really made an effort to keep kids in their natural families or extended families. So what might happen today in Sarah's case is there'd be an outreach for an aunt and an uncle, a grandparent, a close family friend, and try to make the placement there. But they try to keep families together. That's the thing.
So you have all this work here in all these places. How many people work here?
We have about 250 dedicated staff. We have young staff who we recruit right out of graduate school or social work school or education school. And we have experienced staff who run and manage our facilities. We are in 25 different counties. We have offices across the Capital District in Hudson.
Wait, did you say you're in 25 different counties?
We have kids from 25 counties.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
But that means we have to go out there and help reunite the families and the kids together. We have a large fleet of traveling staff, as we like to say. We go to where our customers are.
But if you're, is this one of the few places in this, 25 counties is half of New York State. What's
correct?
Is this one of the few places that does work like
I think what's unique about St. Catherine's Center is we serve younger kids, boys and girls with severe mental health problems, and there's not many of those programs in this state.
By younger, you mean like under 15 or 10?
5 to 12 usually. We have some 4-year-olds in our care. But we have kids from Westchester County, Sullivan County, St. Lawrence County, as well as the Capital District, obviously.
Oh, okay.
And then we have about 10 offices across the regional to support that.
And so as a nonprofit, can people, you're supported by government?
We have about 7 or 8 funding streams from government, state government, federal government, local government, county contracts, and of course we do fundraising to pay for those things the government won't or can't pay for. Not-for-profits are a tough place to work because funding is critical to our existence, and it's important that we have good relationships with our funders and our donors.
Now, I notice in your annual report here, anyone can just give if they want. Well, it sounds like a very worthy.
Well, there's actually three ways to help us.
Oh, okay.
One is to give us money, and we will never turn that down. A one-time donation, a special project. The second way is to give a gift of services or an in-kind gift, a holiday present, a some services, for instance, in one of our facilities, a birthday party for a child, make over a room at one of our residences.
Okay.
And then the third way is to volunteer. We have volunteers that do, food drives for us, or help read to kids at night, or come in during the holidays and organize a Christmas party or a holiday event. So there's really, it's sweat equity, it's in-kind gifts, and of course cash.
Well, there's a lot of information on the webpage. It'll be on the screen here. It's and there is a thing for volunteering. Now, are you guys part of how people at work can give through the United Way? Are you guys on that list?
The
in
United
there?
Way or the
Okay.
state employee, the CFA fund, you can donate that way. You can give a recurring donation. You can do. We'll say yes if you call and say you want to help.
And Sarah, anything else you want to add now that you're going to start perhaps being a representative?
Well, I'm just delighted. I'm delighted and touched that we're able to connect, and the wonderful work that's happening at St. Catherine's Children's Center. It's something that all people should be a part of, as far as knowing the information. And I'm just honored to be able to tell my story. I really am, and I'm just delighted to have this opportunity to be with you too.
And Bill, have we forgotten anything?
I think what I'd say, if Sarah's story touches you, pick up the phone and call us, because we're looking for foster parents. All ages, all sexes, all regions. Come talk to us about mentoring or fostering a child.
And you're saying there's always a need for...
There's an incredible need. We provide support to foster parents. We provide training. And of course, you receive a financial stipend to support the cost of raising a child.
Oh, okay.
But we need more foster parents. And we also need folks who want to be respite foster parents, which is an occasional foster parent.
Like an emergency for a week or a night or two.
Once a month, where you would just take a child for a weekend, perhaps, and let the natural mom kind of, get her composure back.
Well, it sounds like you guys do wonderful work, and you've been doing it for 130 years. So it'll be on the information will be on the screen again. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And Sarah, I think you're going to be a great spokesman for St. Catherine's. And we will see you next time on Getting to Know You.